You're listening to the Packernet Podcast Network.
Mother's Day is around the corner. Find the perfect gift for the mom in your life with a stunning piece of jewelry from Blue Nile. From timeless pearls to dazzling gemstones, Blue Nile has something she'll adore. Need it fast? Most items can ship overnight. Plus, enjoy guaranteed free shipping and returns. Don't miss our special Mother's Day deals. Save big on the season's most beautiful trends. For a limited time, get up to 50% off by going to BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
If you're ready now, then we can break it down. It's so strategic. Oh, you gotta see it. If you hear me now, then we can talk them round. It's all about the blind side. Oh, protection's prime. When the draft lights shine, it's time to discuss left and right on the line. Who'll be the next to bust? Eyes on the tackles, with feet like a dance, blocking those blind sides, giving the QB a chance.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's officially time to talk about the tackles. It's been a long time coming. We've had some other things to tend to, but we're doing it. We're doing it. So let me just give my overall real quick, just kind of my takeaway, and then we'll dive into the top 10 according to Dane Brugler. Also, Bob McGinn has released his thing, so because we don't have time to do each individually like I would normally do, we're going to kind of combine them. So we're going to go through Brugler, and we're going to go through some of the scouts' notes and whatnot into one comprehensive thought. One of the things, there's a lot of talk about there's a ton of tackles, so many tackles, lots and lots and lots of them, right? Rain Man playing blackjack. There's lots of them, lots and lots of them. The issue I had is that it sort of felt like wide receiver for me, where it's like, yeah, he's fine. Do I think this guy's going to step in and start over Rasheed Walker or Zach Tom? No. There is a line, and after that line, you look at it and go, I like him, and I think they would provide some depth, and that's cool and all. Obviously, they could potentially grow and become something really solid, but there's nothing here that I'm looking at just going, this is the dude right here. He's going to come in, and he's going to play, and he's going to start right away. And there's no guarantee of that anyways. I'm just saying in general. A lot of these guys you can watch. I can watch the linebackers and go, I bet this guy starts. I think he's better than what we have. I can look at the running backs and say, I think this guy's got a pretty good shot of day one, being that dude. Tackles, though, and I get it's a tough position, and there's very few like really, really good tackles in the NFL. But the line that I drew from, on one side is I'm comfortable this guy is going to, I shouldn't say I would say that I'm comfortable he's going to come in and win day one, but at the very least, I really would not be surprised at all. I think he's got the potential to be significantly better than Rasheed and probably could be by day one. On the other side is, I don't know, man, I'm thinking this might be a project if ever. That line is probably before we're going to be able to draft at pick 25. So the more I did it, the more I thought, man, if the Packers are uncomfortable with tackle, in other words, uncomfortable with the idea that we're going to be able to get somebody that can start for us, they may have to move up for a tackle, that is. And we've already talked about the potential for that with guys like Fashanu and whatnot that are probably, almost certainly not going to make it to 25. maybe could fall into striking distance, where you trade one of the thirds or a second or something to be able to get up. But, especially with this signing, and I know it's probably not a massive signing, the Dillard thing. Everybody's kind of pointed out that he really struggled. Tennessee Titan fans are laughing hysterically at how bad he was. And again, I mean, that's inherent in the fact that he was a first-round pick that was on 2 different teams in his rookie contract. I mean, that's rough to be that bad. But it just feels like the Packers are kind of just loading up a little bit with anticipation that perhaps it's not going to be the greatest situation post-draft or come when it comes time to field a team. I don't know. But yeah, that was sort of my takeaway, and we'll get to sort of where I was on a lot of these guys specifically. But with that said, why don't we go ahead and dive into the number 1 tackle? It was kind of fluctuating for quite a while with Fashanu and Alt. In fact, Fashanu was sort of the lock number 1, with Alt being this sort of, yeah, he's cool and all, but you can't touch Fashanu. And then that just got flipped on its head entirely, to the point where Fashanu is now seemingly free-falling. I mean, that's a little dramatic, but, he went from first to second to, he might slide to, probably outside of the top 10, possibly late teens. It's getting weird with Fashanu. But Mr. Joe Alt, we're going to kind of reduce some of the time because, again, we're doing 2 different things, and I want to make sure that we get through everything. So I'm not going to be quite as detailed. But let's go through some of the notes on Mr. Joe Alt. Joseph Joe Alt, youngest of 5 kids, 2 brothers, 3 sisters. His father, John Alt, was an All-American offensive tackle at Iowa and played 13 seasons in the NFL with the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe's brother, Mark, played high school football, then switched to hockey and played for the University of Minnesota and eventually joined the NHL. His older sister, Jordan, played college basketball at Denver University. Oh, and by the way, he is 6'8" and a half, 321 pounds, from North Oaks, Minnesota, went to Totino Grace High School, and is just over 21 years old. But went to Totino Grace High School, which is a private Catholic high school, started playing quarterback in youth football through middle school. He moved to linebacker in his sophomore year at 230 pounds, and then went up to 260 pounds and moved to defensive end and tight end, eventually taking snaps at left tackle his senior year. He contributed to his high school's turnaround to winning records and playoff appearances in junior and senior years. He earned first-team All-Metro, All-District, and All-State honors in 2020. He lettered in basketball. He was recruited as a four-star prospect. He was the number 32 offensive tackle nationally, number 6 recruit in Minnesota in 2021. He chose Notre Dame for its academic prestige and football lineage, became first-team All-American during his tenure there. Some of his noted strengths and weaknesses between the two, notable for redirect and recovery, especially impressive given his size. Advanced footwork, excellent use of his long arms to maintain separation from defenders, disciplined with technique, nimble in movement, exhibits natural power and run blocking, has a strong performance pedigree, consistently disciplined, resulting in minimal penalties throughout his college career. Some of the weaknesses, sometimes slow to establish anchor, tendency to lunge at faster opponents and pass protection, which can throw off his balance. Despite his active hands, he lacks some force at the point of contact. As a drive blocker, he sometimes allows his pads to rise, which reduces effectiveness. Some of the scouts' notes from Bob McGinn. If you remember, the way that this goes is he'll talk to 3 or 4 different scouts. Usually, it gets worse as you progress, from the people most excited to least excited. Not always, but a lot of times. So, first scout says, he's just like his dad, natural left tackle, smooth in his pass technique, excellent at maintaining run-pass levels. Second scout, he bends like someone much shorter, maintaining leverage against outer rushers efficiently. Third scout says he's a good player, though I've seen comparable talents. Fourth scout says, not a fan of his height for the position, but he's got excellent fundamentals and mental stamina. He's got likely Pro Bowl material, though not quite all-pro due to some mechanical disadvantages. As far as injuries, one of the bigger positives is that he did not suffer major injuries. He participated in 33 consecutive games as a starter without missing any due to injury. Overall, he's developed into a highly skilled and versatile offensive lineman at Notre Dame, adept at both run blocking and pass protection, originating from family rich From a family rich in professional sports background, leveraged his lineage to hone his skills, blah, 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 blah. But bottom line is, again, as the draft really starts to come into focus, we're starting to see the way this is going to lay out. Certainly looks like Caleb's number 1, Jaden's number 2, and it appears as though Marvin Harrison will be number 3 to the Arizona Cardinals. One of the other things that seems to be more or less a sure bet, although this isn't really coming from anywhere, it's just kind of, I doubt you're going to find too many mocks with anything different at this point. Joe Alt going number 7 to Tennessee. Now, do I expect the Packers to jump to 6 or higher to get Joe Alt? Absolutely not. Do I like Joe Alt? Yes. I do think he's probably my favorite tackle, as much as I like Fashanu, just because it would be cool to get this really strong run-blocking type of guy. Is he the most elite tackle I've seen in the last several years? No. You got guys like Penei Sewell and whatnot that were just stupid. But Joe Alt's cool. I certainly would put him in the camp of, if he gets drafted, he's going to be a starting tackle for the Green Bay Packers year 1. But I think that's well outside of the realm of what is likely or possibly even possible. Final note, it is worth noting that both McGinn and Dane Brugler have him as the number 1 tackle. After that, very different. For example, the number 2 tackle here is not Fashanu, apparently. It is, let me see if I can do this, Olu Moyiwa, and then it's Fashanu, right? Olu Fashanu. That's how you say it. So it's close, but it's not it's It's not Fashanu, it's Fashanu. Whatever. But Fashanu is 6 foot, that's so weird to say, 6'6", 312 pounds from Waldorf, Maryland, 21.38 years old. Went to Gonzaga High School, apparently. But Fashanu has one older sister, initially focused on basketball, playing in AAU and travel leagues, transitioned to football in his freshman year after enrolling in Gonzaga College High School in Washington, D.C. He helped Gonzaga to a conference title in 2018 as a junior, notable playoff appearance in 2019, recruited 52 pancake blocks in his senior year, didn't even know they tracked that. A 3-star recruit, he was the number 32 offensive tackle in the 2020 class, number 6 recruit from Washington, D.C., committed to Penn State, and was part of their 27-player recruiting class, ranking 21st within that recruiting class. Strengths and weaknesses: prototypical size with well-built frame and long arms, explosive lower body, quick off the snap, excellent in pass protection with well-timed, refined hand usage, strong in picking up stunts and blitzes, outstanding awareness, natural strength in the run game. Weaknesses: tendencies to play too upright in the run game, leading to balance issues, smaller hand size, 8.5 inches, which could affect his grip and control, vulnerable to bull rush if leverage is not maintained, missed 5 games in his sophomore year due to a meniscus injury. We got our 3 scouts. First scout compared him to Germain Ifedi, said he's more mechanical than athletic and has concerns over his durability and hand size. Second scout was just concerned about his durability, viewed him more as a right tackle prospect due to his strength and reliable pass protection. And then the third scout said he reminded him of Ikem Ekwonu, which normally would be a positive. I mean, Germain Ifedi and Ikem Ekwonu were both guys that were like highly touted, obviously, during the draft cycle. And I don't know, I'm not positive about Ifedi, but Ikem Ekwonu was a massive swing and a miss. I mean, he's still young. I think he's going into year 2, maybe, possibly year 3. But Ekwonu was horrific. Ifedi, I don't think, has done very much. He's been kind of a journeyman. But anyways, likened him to Ikem Ekwonu with doubts about his effectiveness against elite pass rushers, suggesting he might not translate well to the NFL. So Brugler has him 2. McGinn has him 4. Just worth noting when we start talking about the possibility of him sliding. Injury history, we kind of talked about. Missed the final 5 games of the 2022 season with a meniscus injury. Has had recurring injury issues throughout his college career. That's not what you want to hear for a team that is trying to overcome something like that. Overall, Fashanu, a standout at Penn State, showcased significant growth from a redshirt freshman to a consensus All-American and Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year by 2023. Starting his athletic career in basketball, he demonstrated adaptability and quickly excelled in football, proving his capability on the offensive line. Likely first-round pick, potential to be a long-term starter in the NFL. Academic success and leadership qualities further underscore his preparedness for professional challenges. So it's weird because I haven't really moved off of my position on him from where I was, which is relatively high. It sounds like he's starting to be less of that sort of lock top guy. Again, is he, should he be a top 3 pick or whatever? No. I know in our circle or whatever, the one guy I know that's low on him is JJ, and that largely is because he's an Ohio State fan. And against Ohio State, there was, I think it was Tui Malau who kind of beat him, and Tui Malau is not even their top pass rusher at Ohio State. So that by itself would put a bad taste in your mouth. I went and watched the Ohio State game just because generally I want to pick their players' better games, but I know I've seen him. I know I like him. I figured, okay, I'll watch his worst game. And it was worse by a mile. He's never been close to that bad. It's like his pass blocking grades are like 90, 80, 80, 80, 80, 80 all the way down, like 270s and then a 40. But a couple things stood out to me about that, the whole Tui Malau thing. First of all, that was his best game of the year by a mile. He's never done that. So to assume that Fashanu is like the worst tackle he faced is obviously nonsense. Second of all, he did face better pass rushers and did significantly better, including the other Ohio State pass rushers and Michigan pass rushers. He gave up 7 pressures, I think, or 6 pressures in that game. He gave up 10 the entire year. So for whatever reason, he just kind of had his number. I think Ohio State just kind of tore up that offensive line in general. They were, and I'll be honest, I was relatively impressed with the pass rush. You can say what you want about Tui Malau, but the first pressure he got, it was such an advanced pass rush move. He sprinted to the outside, jumped to the inside, and then spun back to the outside. It was like, holy crap. And they threw so much at, I'll just call him Olu. They threw so much at him from the fact that there's so many different pass rush moves with individual players, and then they kept rotating the players. I mean, they go from spin moves to speed to power to bull rush. I mean, it was just an absolute, it was ridiculous. Now, to be fair also, he dominated most of the game. I mean, even if you give up 6 pressures, some of them were much more iffy than the ones that were, I saw 3 or 4 that were like, yeah, he just got whooped. But there are times when it's like, the quarterback will break the pocket and then it'll, whatever. So even that game, I didn't necessarily hate it, and it's clearly an outlier for both the pass rusher and for Olu. So I like him. I think the injury issues might be the only one kind of big concern, but if he does start to slip, I would be very excited to bring him on board. All right, let's take our first break. We'll come back and rip through the last 8. Before we do, though, please don't forget, we got our Fogo giveaway. Very, very excited about that. It looks like, as best as I can tell, we don't have a ton of entries here. We got, it says 19, but it doesn't start at the top. Oh, we got a couple more that popped on here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have 15 entries so far. This is going to run through basically the very start of the draft. So once, pick 1, that card runs in, we'll call it dead there. So you can feel free to take your time, but just don't forget, because that's what I always end up doing. I'm going to wait to the last minute, and then it's very last minute and you forget. But be sure to get that in. As many as we can get as possible. It'll be fun. It's really cool because I can see the responses that people have got so far. I might even end up doing a podcast about it. I won't mention names or whatever, but it's cool to see the different prospects. One person has us trading out of the first. Got a couple Kool-Aids, couple Nate Wigginses. I'm really apologize if it's not Nate. People can be like, you convinced me. I'm sorry. We got Amarius, we got Jerzon, we got Cooper, we got Barton, we got Guyton, we got Quinion Mitchell. Dang. Probably a trade up. You don't have to specify that, by the way. It's just what round. So if they trade up and do something, it doesn't really make a difference. The only thing is if they trade out of the first round, who would they end up taking? But this is really, I really think this is cool. This is a very cool thing that we got. It's a fun tool. I mean, even if it wasn't being scored for a gift of $125, gift card to Fogo, I just call it Fogo now because I don't want to make the mistake of either saying it incorrectly or, saying it in a way that is correct, but it sounds like, a white dude trying to say Brazilian stuff, and I sound stupid. So Fogo works. But again, you just got to fill out the form. I'll probably try to do reminders every single day just so that it goes, to the top of the list and all that kind of stuff. Doesn't end up getting buried. I should actually make it the pinned thing on social media. I did it on Facebook. I should do it on Twitter. But $125, man, that's a lot, and it's for steak, and not just steak. I mean, they've got tons of food. Again, they bring it around to your table, and then they've also got a I forget exactly the term that they use, but it's a giant table. It's something table, I think, but it's just got tons of stuff. I guess what you could call accompaniments, but they got fresh salad and whatnot that you can get, cheeses, and it's an experience. It really just is. So again, it's going to take you maybe 5 minutes to slap this together. You're already doing mock drafts. You might as well do a mock draft and then just put it in here. You know what I mean? Do your best mock draft and then throw it in here. And again, we can announce the winners after the draft. And we'll track it as we go through the draft, obviously, as well. Especially day 3 will be the most intriguing because at that point we'll kind of have probably most of it done. But anyways, let's take a break and then we'll come back and get to the rest of these prospects. We'll be right back. We all have smartphones, and we all know they're pretty amazing, but they also can be amazingly distracting, especially when we're around other people. So US Cellular wants us to reset our relationship with our phones by putting down our phones for $5. That's right, a company that sells phones wants us to put down our phones. And to see what we find, learn more at uscellular.com/built-for-us.
Mother's Day is around the corner. Find the perfect gift for the mom in your life with a stunning piece of jewelry from Blue Nile. From timeless pearls to dazzling gemstones, Blue Nile has something she'll adore. Need it fast? Most items can ship overnight. Plus, enjoy guaranteed free shipping and returns. Don't miss our special Mother's Day deals. Save big on the season's most beautiful trends. For a limited time, get up to 50% off by going to BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
All right, getting started with the number 3 on Dane Brugler's board, J.C. Latham out of Alabama, 6'5.5", 242 pounds, from Oak Creek, Wisconsin, went to IMG Academy, 21.2 years old. I did not know he was from Oak Creek. I think, what's his name? The interior guy from Wisconsin is also from Oak Creek. Wonder if they were teammates. J.C. Latham, by the way, number 2 on Bob McGinn's list. But he was actually born in Mississippi, moved to Wisconsin with his father Jerome during elementary school, started playing football in Pop Warner leagues, coached by his dad, attended Catholic Memorial High School in Waukesha, played as a varsity defensive lineman from his freshman year, transferred to the IMG Academy in Florida for his final 2 high school years. At Catholic Memorial, he contributed to a state championship win as a sophomore and switched from defense to offensive lineman during the playoffs. At IMG Academy, he was first-team All-State and Under Armour All-American, ranked as the number 1 offensive tackle and the number 1 recruit in Florida in the 2021 class. He received offers from top programs and ultimately chose Alabama, becoming their top recruit in 2021. Strengths and weaknesses: extremely strong with a well-built distribution, 340-plus pound frame, long arms, and large hands. Excellent in establishing a strong base. Uses hands effectively to control rushers and generates significant power in the run game. Versatile with experience at guard and consistent performance across 3 years at Alabama. Some of the weaknesses, occasionally undisciplined with tendencies to overset as a pass blocker, which lets defenders cross his face. Inconsistent aiming point causes hands to land outside defenders' frame, and he sometimes fails to engage his hips in the run game, leading to overextension and balance issues. Apparently, he's it says, embraces the bully role and is very proud of his self-given TK name, which stands for Trench King. That's pretty dope. Looking at the 4 scouts, first scout says, sort of well-traveled. He's still very young, turns 21 in February. He's got big upside in what he can be over the next 2 to 3 years. He's such a huge, powerful person. He's only played right tackle, but I think he could play some left tackle. He could be a guard. Didn't I just see... I can look on PFF, but the big board over here, what am I talking about? Dane Brugler's guide, one of the positives says he has some experience at guard, play 135 snaps as a backup right guard as a freshman. So Scout is just talking to talk, I guess. Second scout says has a physical skill set to be a Pro Bowl guard or Pro Bowl tackle. Has lateral agility, exceptional power, and size to move people in the run game, needs to be more consistent as a tackle in the passing game. With bumpers inside as guard, he should shut anybody down. He's more destructive as a run blocker than Fuaga, but not as consistent. Third scout says he's a 340-pound dude that's athletic and can be as athletic as can be and built like a freaking house, and the little guy, number 5, runs over him. That's the kind of guy he is. I've never seen a guy just stand and watch plays as much as this guy. I wasn't crazy about the guy from there a couple years ago, Evan Neal, and he turned out to be a disappointment. He's kind of cut from the same cloth. They tease you a little bit, but ultimately you wonder, does this guy like football? Does he really want to be out there? He flashes some Pro Bowl stuff and then some stuff you really don't want on your team. Final scout says he's got more ability than Paris Johnson, but Paris was much more instinctive and aware, which is a huge, huge deal. What worries me a little bit is if you play him inside, because when he struggles, it's against games and second-level defenders. What the heck does that mean? I'm not even going to finish that quote because it doesn't get any more sensible as we move on. Some worries, I guess. Notably durable, not missing games during his 3-year tenure at Alabama, reflecting robust physical health. That's a good thing. Overall, as a 2-year starter at Alabama, J.C. Latham demonstrates significant potential with elite play, strength, and functional movements that allow him to dominate his matchup. While he shows Pro Bowl potential, his occasional lapses in discipline and struggle against complex defensive schemes highlight areas for improvement, blah, blah, blah. Look, I like Latham, and despite all the talk, it's one of those things, too, where one of my critiques of relative athletic score, not that I have an issue with it, it's a cool tool, but sometimes what you want to know isn't relative, right? In other words, for a 340-pound guy, he really moves well. Okay, but that's not what I need to know. I want to know how well he moves, period. And part of the issue is when I watched him, I just didn't see him get used in a way in which he needed to move a lot. It was mostly just, normal right tackle stuff, stand there and block. I want to see him get on his horse and go. And the very little bit I saw made me wonder, is this really what the Packers want? So again, we're kind of back to that thresholds conversation where it's not, in my opinion, an actual threshold, but I do wonder, because of the Packers' tendencies and the way that they like to play football, especially right now with Matt LaFleur getting lateral. And I mean, I've seen the tackles and guys have to they're asked to do ungodly things in terms of getting up to the next level and get linebackers that are very far away from them, let's just say, and are running away from them. And I don't know if that's what you get from a J.C. Latham. And so even if you move them inside, it's like, well, I mean, the guards have to do it too. So I don't know that fixes a ton. I mean, we could talk about how cool it would be to have a guy with that level of strength on the interior and whatnot, but I'm not saying he doesn't have the athleticism that you need to play tackle on just a normal play. I'm more worried about when you got to get out in space, that kind of stuff. So I'm more or less undecided. I do like him. If it's determined he can handle it, cool. It didn't. I'm a little skeptical, but it's more about incomplete as opposed to dislike. All right, on to Taliesa Fuaga, who is number 4 for Dane Brugler and number 3 on The other one, 6'5.5", 324 pounds from Tacoma, Washington, 22 years old. He is one of 5 kids, 4 boys and a girl. He is from Samoan descent. Attended Mount Tahoma High School, was a 4-year varsity letterman in football, playing on both the offensive and defensive lines. He started at left tackle as a sophomore and played left tackle as a guard and tackle and guard as a junior. He was named first team All-Area and All-League on offense and second team All-League on defense as a senior. Despite the team's poor record, he stood out and was recognized as one of the top players in the area. He's a 3-star recruit. He was the number 130 offensive tackle nationally and the number 20 recruit in Washington. Committed to Oregon State after receiving his first offer from Nevada and interest from several other FBS programs. I wonder how much that plays into things. Almost every single one of the guys that we've talked about so far ends up on one of these elite high school teams that partially due to this particular player's contribution, but also just because it's a really good football team, they end up just dominating. And then they, become a 4-star recruit. I wonder if part of the reason he wasn't as high of a recruit is because he's from a smaller, lesser-known bad football team. Just curious. Strengths and weaknesses. Strengths: has a large frame, efficient out of his stance, powerful in the run game, able to move people with his length and hand strength, good at handling stunts, effective at reaching second-level targets, known for leadership qualities, and was team captain in 2023. I think part of that is why I really like Fuaga. Effective at reaching second-level targets. I mean, that's just a big thing that I look for with tackles. I mean, listen, tackles almost always win. That's just a reality. Even bad tackles, most of the time, are going to win. Nobody has like a 50% or worse pass block rate. It's not a thing. You play 60 snaps. If you give up 4 pressures, you're a bum. So anyways, watching them win, So you're trying to look for other stuff. And for me, the biggest one, because it's the Packers, is athleticism. Some of these guys, they're athletic, and I still don't necessarily like them because of other reasons, but that was kind of the biggest one for me. And I think Fuaga's got it in spades. Scout quotes. First scout says, "I don't know if he'll be great, but he'll be good. He really jumped up this year, probably more than anybody I saw. He was a backup until 2022, and this year he really improved his game. He's physical, he's strong. He'll be a solid starting right tackle in the league and play for a long time." Second scout said, "Smart, aggressive, tough, more than enough athleticism, willing to finish, hard to get around, very, very passionate about the game, which you appreciate." Third scout says, "He is the true prototypical right tackle, like the old school. Better run blocker, maybe a little stiffer and not as athletic as a pass protector, but he's tough. He's got range, played well with his hands. I don't think there's much bust potential with him at all." Fourth scout says, "I kept trying to like him. He's a solid right tackle only, not really light on his feet. Kind of gets in the way. You need feet to control and sustain. If he's got to adjust to sustain, I don't really see that." That old fourth scout, I tell you. Again, for me, I really like the guy. I think if you could have, if I could have built a tackle in my mind in terms of what they looked like on the field, Fuaga probably would have been it. Even though Alt and Fashanu, for example, have some better qualities and maybe a little bit stouter, stronger, hard to move type stuff. But Fuaga was kind of it from top to bottom. And I think the good thing is, if they were to go up, if you told me they were going up to get a tackle, Fuaga would be the one that would come to mind. Partially because, again, I think Alt is gone. I think Fashanu is also likely out of range. And I don't think Alt is the guy. Or Mims for that matter. We haven't got there yet, but I'm just saying. Just thinking of the other first round guys. I think if they were to do it, it would be the one that I would end up liking the most. But we'll see. I don't think he falls to 25, but I think there's a chance that he gets close enough that Packers could make a move for him. Next up, we've got Mr. Amarius Mims out of Georgia. 6'7.5", 340 pounds out of Cochran, Georgia. 21.5 years old. Just an absolute horse of a human being. But Amarius Mims from Cochran, Georgia, which is a small town known for its passion for football. Cochran has a population of around 5,000 people. He grew up playing both basketball and football and enjoys bass fishing. He attended Bleckley County High School, where he was a multiple sport athlete. He participated in football, basketball, and track and field. He also competed in shot put, posting a personal best of 48 feet 1 inch. Couldn't tell you how great that is, but I'm sure it's great. Started as a varsity blocking tight end as a sophomore due to the presence of senior offensive tackles. Transitioned to a more prominent role in subsequent years, earning first-team All-State honors twice and leading his team to the state playoffs. He was ranked as the number 3 offensive tackle nationally and the number 1 recruit in Georgia for the 2021 class. Received his first scholarship offer from the University of Georgia. Also had offers from prominent schools including Auburn, Florida, and Tennessee, eventually committing to Georgia. He enrolled at the University of Georgia, majored in sports management, got a 3.6 GPA. Initially played a reserve role, then entered and withdrew from the transfer portal before becoming a starter. Some of these strengths, obviously his size is one of them, significant reach, 36 1/8 inch arms, very large hands, 11 1/4 inch, reduced body fat from 25% to 17% over his college career, recognized for impressive control, consistent strike timing, and ability to maintain engagement with defenders, praised for his mobility, balance, and technique in both run and pass blocking. Also described by an NFL scout as mature and dedicated to athletic development and body conditioning. We'll get to all that. Weaknesses, limited number of career starts, only 8, with his college career viewed as incomplete. He has technical flaws where he exhibits some impatience and tendency to lose leverage during plays, needs to be more alert to inside counters and refine the depth of his pass sets. Some quotes, Warren Brinson, Georgia defensive lineman, says, "When he touches you, you feel it." Getting to the scouts, the first scout described him as a classic boomer bust. Quote, "He's only started how many games? That ain't very many. That scares the F out of me." Second scout, highlighted the risks, said, "How much trust can you have in him? Mekhi Becton definitely had more experiences and was definitely more polished and had more power and finish." Final scout praises potential, says, "Mims is absurd, the talent that he has, but you're kind of throwing the dice. Really neat kid, nice, friendly, well-spoken, intelligent. You could really hit on this guy." Some of the injury stuff, he's got had an ankle injury, suffered a significant left ankle injury in September of 2023, requiring tightrope surgery. Also exited the 2023 SEC Championship game early due to an ankle issue. He also missed workouts at the Combine and Pro Day due to right hamstring problems. Overall summary, played at a high level in his limited starts, allowing 0 sacks, known for his physical attributes and potential. Though his career at Georgia was marred by injuries and a lack of extensive playing time, offers high upside but comes with risk due to limited experience and injury history. So personally, I wasn't super impressed with Mims. Now, honestly, I think the limited playing time is beneficial to me because I just genuinely didn't care for what I saw. So if you're telling me that he's raw, great. But limited time and already this many injuries, not a huge fan. Especially when you talk about these massive human beings, it just puts a toll on your body. I mean, that amount of weight to carry around. I know his body fat's down. I'm sure his frame can support more, but I don't know. All around, not my favorite. All right, why don't we take a break? We will come back and go through the final 4, I believe, starting with Tyler Guyton. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
Have you ever experienced turbulence on a flight and wondered why?
And you can see all the terrain around you. You've got no issue with visibility or anything?
No, everything's PG.
Maybe you've sat on the tarmac for hours wondering why your plane isn't moving.
Well, we're outside here. They're saying the ramp is closed. They won't let us park because of Air Force One.
Listen in on the conversations between pilots and air traffic controllers on the Air Traffic Out of Control podcast.
512 Whiskey declaring an emergency. There's smoke in the cabin. I need to make a landing right now on 31 left.
We have the most interesting, wild, and funny ATC recordings you will ever hear. Check out Air Traffic Out of Control wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
All right, Tyler Guyton, he is number 6 on both lists. 6'7.5", 322 pounds, out of Manor, Texas, 21.87 years old. Born just outside of Austin, his father Alvin played basketball at Midwestern State in the mid-90s. He initially focused on basketball during his childhood, played several seasons of youth football, primarily as a quarterback and running back. At high school, he attended Manor High, where he played basketball before joining the football team. As a senior, he started on the defensive line and earned second-team All-District honors. His team reached the state playoff quarterfinals in 2019. Considered a 3-star recruit, Guyton was the number 70 offensive tackle in the 2020 class and the number 110 recruit in Texas. Despite limited football tape, he received a late offer from TCU and committed, and eventually signed as a quote-unquote athlete. He was the number 17 recruit, former head coach Gary Patterson's 2020 class, which also recruited Quentin Jefferson and Kendre Miller, the running back. After the 2021 season and having played a couple different positions, Guyton entered the transfer portal and signed with Oklahoma for his final 2 seasons, accepted his invitation to the 2024 Senior Bowl. Strengths. Athleticism, noted for his athletic build, long arms, minimal bad weights, exhibits remarkable foot speed and lateral range akin to running backs, allowing for effective pass protection and open field blocking. Excellent at staying balanced and centered to blocks, uses direct and quick stabs with his hands, displays strong anchoring abilities through fluid hips, body bend. I think I'm going to have the robot turn scouting language into normal people language because I hate reading it. It's so stupid. It's just dumb. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I get it, but it just, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been reading scouting reports for so long. It's become nails on a chalkboard to me. I hate when things become like a thing, where it's like you have to talk a certain way in order to scout players. It's like, no, that's stupid. Some of the weaknesses: only 15 career starts with visible inexperience, shows inconsistencies in leverage, technique in the run game, and hand placement, noted for occasional oversetting when playing left tackle. Described as inconsistent, particularly in judging pursuit angles and finishing blocks aggressively. Concerns over his mental focus as he reportedly shuts down when complacent. That's not great. First Scout says the OU coaches just marvel at him. They call him different than everyone else they've had. Next Scout says if you watch the Florida State game, he actually is, he dominates Jared Verse. He kicked his you-know-what, absolutely dominated him. As somebody who isn't a Jared Verse fan, I'm not super impressed by that. Second Scout says things that piss you off about him is that he's so darn inconsistent with his hand placement. He gets beat by guys he has no business losing to. Third Scout says he's talented, but there's some unknowns based on what you see on film. His technique just isn't very good. Definitely a finesse style, but he can be a starting left tackle. Injury history: he missed 3 games in each of the 2022 and 2023 seasons due to injuries, opted out of the bowl game in 2023. I'm not reading the summary. But Guyton was sort of the other line. So there'd be like 2 lines. One is, I feel really good about it. The next line is like, maybe? And Guyton is where that line is. Everybody after Guyton, not a huge fan. He's got some pretty terrible PFF grades, but despite that, I kind of liked it. He had the athleticism. He also had the run blocking and pass blocking. He was the first one that kind of checked all the boxes, even if there were some issues, some really bad reps. Everybody else either had the athleticism but just didn't look very good, or in the case of most of these guys, they just look like, I don't know, just not very good. I'm just not a fan of the tackle class. Next up, we've got Kingsley Suamataia. Number 7 for Brugler. McGinn has him number 9. 6'4.5", 326 pounds from Orem, Utah. 21.27 years old. Samoan descent, born January 18th, 2003. Initially moved with his family to Laie, Hawaii, and later returned to Utah, settling in Orem. He was introduced to football in kindergarten and played various sports, including baseball, tennis, and boxing. Played as a 250-pound left tackle for the Select Team USA at age 13. Attended Lake Ridge Junior High in Orem, excelled in both basketball and football, then went to Orem High, becoming a 4-year varsity starter in football, contributing to 4 state championships and a 42-10 record. He was named first-team all-conference, all-region as a junior, 5A MVP and earned All-American and All-State honors as a senior in 2020, also lettered in basketball. He was a 5-star recruit, ranked number 6 offensive tackle in the 2021 class, the number 1 recruit in Utah, received his first scholarship from BYU in middle school, and later offers from top programs like Alabama, Georgia, and Notre Dame. His fiancée, Nani Falatia, who was a 2-year starter on the BYU women's basketball team, he proposed to her in August 2023. It's pretty cool. Presumably she said yes. That's why it's a fiancé, I guess. Double-digit members of Sua Mataia's immediate and extended family played college and pro football. So to say it's in his blood is understating it. His grandfather, Junior Ayu, who played at Arizona State, was selected by the New England Patriots in the 1972 NFL Draft and played 13 years of professional football. Sua Mataia is cousins with Sewell's brothers. I don't know how that works. One of whom is Penei. Must be his half-brothers or something. After 2 seasons with the Cougars, Sua Mataia skipped the remaining eligibility, blah, 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 blah. Strengths, dense body type, nimble footwork, strong run blocker, and aggressive block finisher. Shows good technique and length, known for his physicality and ability to displace defenders. Weaknesses, inconsistent pad level, issues with hand placement and timing, prone to leaning and fatigue against tough competition, needs improvement in blitz recognition and pass setup depth. A few comments from the scouts. I just don't think he's ready. Hopefully he's not thrown to the wolves right away. Next scout says, he's at the top of my intriguing guy list. He's gigantic and plays on his feet. Got really good technique. Not super nimble, but hard to get around him. Next scout says, he's got a lot of good stuff to him, but it's the inconsistency and determination and toughness that get him in trouble. He doesn't know how to finish. He's not a bad kid. Final scout says, he is pretty talented, but has major makeup issues and really high bust potential because of that. He's almost like one of these modern-day quarterbacks in a negative connotation. He's really high maintenance. Injury history in 2021, he missed games due to undisclosed injuries during his time at BYU. 2023, missed the regular season finale due to an injury. Do we know what that is? Not sure what the injury was, but it's 1 game. Played 24 games, 23 starts. Anything else interesting here? Doesn't look like it. So I think with most of the rest of the guys, including Sua Mataia, what I'm seeing more or less, if you want to tell me developmental, that's fine. My only critique is I'm watching this guy. I don't think he starts for the Packers year 1. I mean, I started putting clips together of positives and negatives, and for the rest of these guys, there's more negatives than positives, which is saying a lot for a tackle. But it was just way too many times they're getting beaten way too many ways. Next is Patrick Paul out of Houston, 6'7", 331, out of Houston, Texas, 22.48 years old. He is number 8 on Brugler's list, number 11 on Bob McGinn's list. Patrick Paul, youngest of 3 boys, born November 1st in Houston, Texas. His family, including parents, Paul and Victoria Unawunwa, moved to Nigeria when he was 7, returning nearly 3 years later. His grandfather was the Major General and President of Nigeria. All right, then. Initially attended Jersey Village High School, then transferred to Cypress Creek High School before returning to Jersey Village. He started playing football seriously in high school, moving from defense to the offensive line, earned all district honors as a senior, helped Jersey Village to a 10-2 record and the 2018 district championship, also lettered in track, competing in shot put and discus. Rated as a 3-star recruit, 171st ranked offensive tackle in the 2019 class, and the number 279 recruit in Texas. He received his first college offer late in his senior year and committed to the University of Houston. He graduated with a degree in retailing and consumer science. Strengths: large frame, rare body length with arms measuring 36 1/4 inches. Strong striking abilities, quickness, and upper body strength. Notable for overwhelming defenders and handcuffing handling. I don't know where that came from. Stunts and blitzes efficiently. 2-time team captain, started 44 games at left tackle in college, showing commitment and dedication to improving his craft. Weaknesses: plays high, struggles with leverage, susceptible to inside moves, and inconsistent in maintaining balance and hand placement. Suffered a sprained ankle and torn ligament in his foot in October 2020, which ended his season prematurely. Limited experience, having played all his college snaps at left tackle without proven ability to switch positions. Already talked about his injury history. Scout quotes, he's an interesting guy because of his length. He's a left tackle, right tackle. His hand placement is not great, but he gets the job done. There's some upside there from a physical tool standpoint. When is the last, second scout, when is the last time a University of Houston had an offensive tackle? You've got to go back to the New England guy, Sebastian Vollmer. I don't know why that matters. Scout 3 says, describe Paul as fool's gold, expressing skepticism about his competitive spirit and overall potential. Seen as a second to third rounder with specific strengths in his physical attributes, but notable weaknesses in his technique and flexibility. Again, my comments are all about the same. Getting to this point of it, I mean, I'm just looking at my my lowlights clip again just to kind of get refreshed, and it's like the guy gets whooped, tries to recover, trips over nothing, just falls over a ghost. Like it just looks. I mean, offensive tackles in general are kind of Frankenstein-y and stumbly, but it's just ugly, you know? When it's bad, it's real bad. So I'm not going to say I'm out on Patrick Paul. I'm skeptical about Patrick Paul. And if we draft him, I think my thought is it's going to be Rasheed Walker as our left tackle, you know, this season. Next up is Brandon Coleman. There's some dispute about where he actually is going to play. On the Beast guide, he is number 9 as a tackle. He is number 5 on the interior for Bob McGinn. But Brandon Coleman, TCU, 6'4", 313, out of Denton, Texas, 23 and a half years old. Originally born in Virginia, Brandon moved to Berlin at 3 months old due to his father Ronald's military posting. Ronald, who has a background in football and track, met Brandon's mother, a German native, overseas. He grew up mostly in Germany, where he initially focused on basketball due to the low popularity of American football. Played as a shooting guard for a Berlin select team, achieving a gold medal at the Europe Championship. That's interesting. Returned to the U.S. before his junior year of high school to pursue basketball, but eventually joined the football team at Denton High School, North Texas. Started with no prior football experience and played on the JV team due to transfer rules, later moving to varsity. It's pretty wild to have never played football. And you come in Texas, of all places, as a junior in high school and pretty quickly get on varsity. Began lifting weights and playing organized football in his junior year, progressed to playing offensive tackle at Trinity Valley Community College, becoming a 3-star JUCO recruit and later committing to TCU for proximity to family. He graduated with a degree in sociology, aiming to work with international athletes post-career. His father was an All-American athlete and is in the Newport News Track Hall of Fame. Strong physical presence with refrigerator-wide shoulders, efficient movement, good pass protection skills, versatility on the offensive line, ability to play through injuries, and commendable toughness. I will say some of these guys that I watched, there is sort of a question of if they move inside, I'm much more comfortable with it. Just sort of that lack of mobility. Not that, you know, again, you do need it on the interior, but not as much. Weaknesses, inconsistencies in techniques, sometimes overextending, leading to balance issues, susceptibility to speed, and power moves, noted as reserved, with which may affect his assertiveness at age 24 in his rookie season, which isn't great. Missed most of the 2020 season at TCU due to a wrist injury requiring surgery, had additional knee and ankle injuries throughout his 2023 season, which impacted his play. Scout quotes, first scout said he's more of a guard, has some lateral tightness. Second scout compared him to Matthew Bergeron, again, calling him a guard. Third scout said there's some concerns about his consistency, sees him as a third-round pick. Draft projection is likely second or third round based on his college performance, versatility, and physical measurements. Obviously, some upside there, considering he just doesn't have a ton of experience. All right, finally, we got Mr. Roger Rosengarten out of Washington, 6'5", 308, 21, almost 22 years old. Roger has one sister, hails from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. He started with flag football at an early age, transitioned to tackle, played as a tight end and lineman in middle school. He attended Valor Christian High School, known for notable alum like Christian McCaffrey, and his teammates included Luke and Dylan McCaffrey. Interesting. He was a 4-year varsity letterman, playing on both offense and defense. He helped lead the team to a 14-0 record and 2018 5A state championship as a junior, contributed to a 10-2 record in 2019 Metro title as a senior. In high school, he also lettered in basketball and baseball, earning honorable mention All-State in basketball as a junior with averages of 15.6 points and 7.6 rebounds per game. He was rated as a 4-star recruit, number 16 offensive tackle nationally, and number 2 recruit in Colorado for the 2020 class. He received first scholarship offer from Nebraska, followed by Oklahoma State, Missouri, Minnesota, UCLA, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, and USC. He committed to Washington after receiving an offer on March 2019 and visiting the campus in June of 2019. Some of the strengths and weaknesses: lean muscled athlete with functional length and strength, excellent movement skills, can mirror NFL pass rushers, good at stabilizing blocks and recovering, quick and effective at climbing to the second level, especially in the screen game, intelligent, quick to identify defensive stunts and games, durable, starting all games in the last 2 seasons at right tackle. You got to love that. Weaknesses: high-hipped, with a narrow base frame, lacks mass and lower half. This is what I hate. God, just say normal words. High-hipped. Shut up. Struggles to anchor against power due to lack of ideal mass. Recovery tactics and pass set timing needs improvement. Can be off balance if he loses posture during plays. Leans into run blocks rather than overpowering opponents physically. Flagged 4 times in the 2023 season, showing some discipline issues. I don't feel like 4 is a lot, but whatever. All right, move on to, injury history. There was really nothing. The scout number 1, there was talk he'd go back and move to left because Troy Fatanu, I already forget how to say it, was gone. He decided to come out. He'll be a good, solid starter. He might be a year away. He can still find out his frame and get stronger. Good athlete, tested well. He has really quick feet. Scout 2, he's got will, intestinal fortitude. He needs to get stronger. He is like a backup guy at best right now. Scout 3, his arms aren't the common line of 34 inches for tackles, but technique-wise, there's some things he can do with his punch and pass pro that would help him. He has that feet to mirror, and that's a good starting point. You see his ability to anchor against some power, against more talented rushers like Latu. He just needs to clean up his hand use. By the way, final note, one of the things I forgot to mention, I still did pick games, if I could, where they graded out well. However, a lot of these later guys, the only things I could find were 2022. So there may be things like technique and things like that may have improved, but it's all they had. Could have just probably gone to YouTube, should have done that, didn't think of it until later, whatever. But yeah, I think my overall takeaway, just personally, is that there's plenty to like. There's nothing wrong with liking them. But like I said, similar to wide receiver, how many of these guys are going to come in and actually compete with a better than 50% chance of winning? And as I said, I put 2 different lines out there. I got Fuaga with, Latham on the other side of that. Again, depending on athleticism. If you think he can handle it, then Latham also would be on the other side of the line. I'm just unsure. Plus, if he's strictly a right tackle, that's kind of complicating things. I suppose we could finally give the Packers what they want, put him at right tackle, move Zach Tom to center, whatever. I don't know. And then there was another line that I put at Tyler Guyton. So the guys between Fuaga and Guyton were guys that I liked, and I kind of put it at, they can come in, they can compete, and they got a shot. But I kind of don't think they're going to get it right away. After Guyton, it's like, I don't know, dude. Just don't know. Rosengarten, Coleman, Patrick Paul, Suamataia, struggled with those guys. But again, I think almost all of those were 2022. So do with that what you will. Anyways, I got to get out of here. I'm guessing on your end, it feels like this is the least amount of work I do because it's a lot of reading. This is so much harder for me than just ranting. I don't have to stop and gather the notes and try to organize it and do all that stuff. I just go. I cannot wait until after the draft when we can just get hyped. We can just talk trash. We can look at the Bears and the Vikings and the Lions and just say they're stupid. And the Packers guys are going to be great. It's going to be amazing. Find people on YouTube that say the Packers get a D and just give them the big old middle one. You know what I mean? Can't wait. But until then, we're going to continue this frickin' grind. We're to the point now where I'm going to have to do this daily or we're just not going to get through it. So we'll do Packernet After Dark as is possible. So keep them coming, but, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, you guys have a good rest of your day. Talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.